Orthodox Christians around the world commemorate Easter this weekend. In the Orthodox Church, Good Friday is a day of deep reflection and solemn remembrance. It's also known as Holy Friday, as it marks the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. SABC News correspondent Dasha Chernyshova joins us now live from Moscow with the very latest on Russia marking this day. Thank you so much for your time, Dasha, this afternoon. So today marks one of the most solemn days in the Christian calendar, as we've been saying. It's also a time of deep reflection and remembrance, but also does come under the shroud of a war. How is this day being marked in Moscow, given the circumstances?
Well, it is a very important holiday for the Orthodox Russians, which make the largest part of the Russian society, and they are going to attend Orthodox ceremonies and services at the churches in the Russian capital. We also know that even in the border regions that are close to the Ukrainian border, there will still be services taking place there as well. That's despite the high risks. Obviously, security will be beefed up in those territories, but the very clear message that we are hearing here from the Orthodox Church is that indeed this is a very important day for all those believers, and they will not be changing their services. Now, we understand that there have been many volunteers from the Orthodox organizations, but also not just but other organizations as well, who have been sent to the areas which have been hit by this conflict in Ukraine, namely in the Kursk and Belgorod region, where several swaths of territory have been ruined because of the ongoing fighting. To help the people there prepare for this day, they have been helping to build the roofs of their houses, to rebuild their apartments that might have been hit by the fire. We also understand that in those territories there are volunteers who are preparing the special food that is typically served for this day. Those are the dyed eggs. They have different colors. Those are colored eggs, as well as special cakes called kulich in Russian, as well as paska, the special dish made of cottage cheese. So those will be distributed to the most neediest ones in those territories, as well as the families with many children. But obviously it is a very important day, and the day when the Orthodox Russians are trying to be kind and exercise their utmost kindness towards each other and celebrate together.
And I would imagine, even with that all going on, and as you say, Dasha, there is this understanding and appreciation that everyone needs to pause and do some act of kindness, as you rightfully say. Just give us a sense in terms of just the talks. We know a couple of weeks ago there were still talks about ceasefire talks with the US. Then that has changed quite slightly. Bring us up to speed in terms of where we are in terms of those conversations around the war with Ukraine. Where are we at then at this stage?
Well, because both the Catholic and the Orthodox are celebrating Easter on the same day this year, that's quite a rare occurrence. There were hopes that ceasefire deal could actually be reached by this time. However, Russia has been insisting that the matters are so complex that it is not easy to negotiate swiftly, and therefore we don't have that ceasefire deal on the table at this stage. So we've heard the Kremlin on Friday reiterating that they have seen progress in the negotiations with the United States. However, it is very difficult to talk about any sort of deal on Ukraine, at least at this stage. Now, we understand that the work is ongoing. Moscow is pushing hard for its position to be heard, understood and dealt with in Washington. But also we understand that Moscow is not going to make some sort of concessions in terms of ceasefire before the wider security deal is reached. And therefore Moscow says it is unlikely that there could be any sort of Easter ceasefire, for instance, because the Russian lawmakers have all been saying that it is unlikely that Kyiv will uphold this ceasefire, suggesting that it is again Ukraine that is responsible for violations and and breaches. That has been the case all throughout the past month when the moratorium on the strikes on the energy facilities of these two countries has been in place, and Moscow was accusing Ukraine of continuing those attacks, while Ukraine was also accusing Russia of not abiding by that. So certainly at this stage we understand that there has been some progress made. However, that is not yet enough to find the lasting solution. However, also we've heard the American officials on Friday saying very strongly that it is time that Russia and Ukraine get to the negotiations and actually make sure this deal materializes.